and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson, and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
Each week here on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week, we're talking about Bowser's Fury, and checking out the final demo for Bravely Default 2.
Who's Bowser?
Bowser. Doug Bowser, the whatever.
Doug Bowser's Fury.
Doug.
You thought it was an add-on to that Mario game, but no, he's just real mad, and he wanted to be in a game.
Yep.
So here he is.
Why am I not as popular as Reggie? Why don't people love me as much as they love Reggie?
I don't know, Doug. Why aren't you, Reggie? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it is the add-on to that popular Mario game, so we'll talk about that.
Okay. I gotta say, I sympathize with Doug Bowser, because, you know, nobody's replacing Reggie. So I don't envy the person who has to follow in his footsteps. Yeah,
that's those are. I mean, they're probably literally big shoes to fill.
Yeah, he is an enormous man.
But yeah, it's tough. I mean, clearly there are not a lot of people in gaming at that level, at any level really, who are sort of as just unashamedly adored as Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah. He just had the magic formula of, like, first of all, just being able to do the job, but then being, like, personable enough and just slightly weird enough to just, I don't know. He had that aura to him. It's hard to replicate.
Just could deliver a joke and could take a joke, which is always a delicate balance.
Yeah.
Particularly when there are egos involved at that level. And it's he's a very special man. And I wouldn't want to, I mean, I would love to be Doug Bowser, but it's gotta be tough.
Yeah. I think it's good. I mean, so far they haven't really shown any sign that they're trying to make him the next Reggie and do the same things that Reggie was doing. And I think that's the right move, because I think it would feel forced if they were just like, oh, here's the new wacky CEO of Nintendo.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting observation, is that, I mean, yes, we have sort of a public perception of Reggie sort of showing up at E3 and tweeting sort of funny things and stuff like that. But, like, he was also doing the job. He was also presumably sitting in meetings and sort of steering the direction of Nintendo of America to a degree.
Yeah.
So, and, like, we don't have visibility of any of that stuff. So it's all personality driven. It's, that's interesting.
Seems like he's doing an okay job, though, right? I mean, Nintendo's doing pretty well.
Oh, yeah. Yes. They're going to open that giant theme park in Japan at some point, and that happened under Doug Bowser's watch, and somebody's making a Nintendo movie. Illumination's making
Nintendo movie?
A Mario movie,
Mario movie. Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Finally a sequel to the Bob Hoskins classic.
Not that one. No, it's going to be a cartoon. It's going to be animated. Illumination's doing it. The Despicable Me folks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very closely supervised by people at Nintendo, I'm sure.
Yeah. Is Mario going to talk? I mean, I guess he talks already. Like, how much is he going to talk in this one, though?
Yeah. The reason I know about the movie is Charles Martinet, who does Mario's voice in the video games and has for a long, long time, was interviewed this weekend saying that he's not involved in the movie.
Oh, no. That was going to be my next question. I was like, is this going to be like his big Hollywood debut?
But he says he would love to be. That he's open to be. He's waiting for the call. And should they need him to voice Mario, he's there for it.
Huh.
Yeah. So hopefully it's not, I don't know, Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Mario.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's going to be, I don't know, stick to Charles Martinet. Don't mess with it too much.
Yeah. I wonder, oh man, I still haven't seen the Sonic movie. I heard it was not awful, but can the Mario movie be better than that? What are your expectations for a Mario movie? I don't even know at this point.
I don't either. I'm not sure. I don't know. I suspect since they're going 100% animation, they're probably gearing it towards Mario's younger fans. I just kind of anticipate it'll be a kids movie.
Yeah. I was expecting, probably be like entirely within the Mario universe or like the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever, and not be one of these half and half things like Sonic in the Pikachu movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Detective Pikachu, that was a smart way of getting Pokemon into a... Well, I mean, there were Pokemon movies before, but getting Pokemon into a movie that I would watch. But I don't know if Mario needs that. And I don't know if sort of Mario's history supports that to a degree. Yeah, I think sort of Mario is best contained kind of in his own little universe.
Yeah, I just don't... I love the games he's in. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of just Mario as a character.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the thing that I find sort of compelling about Mario games is running, jumping, taking off my hat and flinging at things and then becoming that thing. It's never about, oh yes, I love Mario.
Well, now's your chance.
Yeah. I mean, he's fine.
Yeah,
and I love Luigi.
Fine.
I am unashamed of that. But
how much is Luigi going to feature in this movie, though? That's the real question.
I don't know. Yeah, the thing that is always most sort of compelling about Mario games is whatever sort of the mechanic of the game is. It's never about him. He's just a vehicle for that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe they can just like do a series of genre movies where it's like, I don't know. It's like Drive, but instead of that guy. What's the guy's name in Drive? The serial guy.
Actor?
Yeah. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about. Instead of that guy, it's Mario driving a Mario Kart and like assassinating people or whatever. And then the next one's like a fighting game or something. No, he's never been in a fighting game. No, they'll do a Smash Brothers movie or something. I don't know.
Smash, yeah.
This is why I'm not a Hollywood producer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Mario is the sort of the silent protagonist. He's kind of the straight man, and everybody sort of plays off of that. So I assume they're going to pump, Peach and Toad and Luigi and hopefully a Wario and Waluigi full of, personality and character. And Mario just sort of, oh, you guys.
Yeah. Waluigi's not going to be in the movie, let's be honest. He's going to get snubbed again. If anything, they'll be wrapping up the movie and they'll do like the freeze frame, everybody jumps up in the air cheering and then off in the distance. Or it'll like flip camera angle and you'll see a purple hat ominously off frame. Like, gotta set up the sequel somehow.
Right, yes, yeah. Ugh. The Nintendo collected universe where they sort of set it up where like Waluigi shows up at the end like Samuel.
Instead of Samuel L. Jackson,
like Samuel Jackson,
Waluigi. Yeah. That'd be amazing. Can Samuel L. Jackson do the voice for Waluigi?
I don't know. Sure, yeah.
Give them permission.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I'd be into it.
Yeah.
Probably Robert Downey Jr. also needs something to do since he's not Iron Man anymore. I'm sure he's just bored out of his mind.
Sure. Just sit at home counting stacks of money.
Yeah. That would be amazing. Just like Sherlock Holmes played Iron Man. Just add Mario onto that resume.
Anyway, so Nintendo. Yay.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good job, Doug Bowser. We're all happy for you.
Yeah. Yes. And I mean, not to bury the lead, but Bowser Fury is a really good game. So if you're going to put your name on a game, that's a good game to put it on.
Okay, well, good. I'm sure. Yeah. I wonder how much of that was like, hey guys, it would be good if there was maybe a Bowser game. Maybe we could work on getting Bowser's name out there a little more. And meanwhile, they had all these plans. They're like, 2021, finally the Waluigi game. Miyamoto has all these sketches or whatever. He's like, look, we got Luigi, we got Waluigi, and it comes back like, no, it's all Bowser from now on.
Yes, yeah. That's the sort of the deep, dark secret of Bowser's Fury is that originally this game was called Waluigi's Fury.
Yeah.
And
Waluigi.
Yeah, Doug Bowser put a stop to
Fantastic Adventure. Anyway.
Excellent. So, video games.
I have a question for you before we bury that lead a little further.
Is it a question about video games?
It is a question about video games. Yes, don't worry.
Excellent.
Do you feel like you are spending enough money on video games?
Oh, God, yes.
Do you feel like, oh, you do? What?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you concerned that I'm not spending enough money on video games?
Concerned. I'm concerned that, well, first of all, that I'm not, and then maybe other people aren't as well. Basically, so what happened is the Dragalia Lost and Persona event wrapped up last week. It was very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't often spend a lot of time just reading up on like the Dragalia wiki or the subreddit or anything. But I was checking in throughout this event. And one thing that keeps coming up is like people talk a lot about the summoning system, obviously, because it's like a big component, and people are, especially during these special events, doing a lot of these summons to try and get the special characters before they go away.
And is that that's sort of the lottery or the slot machine component of this game, right? Where you spend presumably real world money. You describe it because I've never played the game.
So as you play the game, you're given in-game currency for free. And when you accumulate enough, you can do a summon. You also get the summon tickets every once in a while. They usually like to give these out as like rewards or for doing challenges in the game, or sometimes they'll just feel generous and be like, we just sent a free summon ticket to everybody. Or you can, of course, spend real money in the shop to buy the limited currency, and that functions mostly like the free one that they give away. You just have it on demand, I suppose, as long as you're willing to open up your wallet. And I've been able to play the game pretty well without ever having to just be like, I need more summoning currency, give it to me. I've been able to get by on just the free stuff and the handouts. I'm also not like incredibly hardcore about playing this, so take this all as you will. But I noticed that when people talk about summoning in this game, they're very they seem like more casual than I'd expect to bring up this mechanic, which is relatively new to Dragalia Lost. It's called sparking. And basically what this does is when you do a summon, you like have a chance of getting some character or whatever. But basically for each summon you do, you get this additional currency. And when you accumulate enough of these, you can do this thing called sparking, which is you redeem all these currencies for the specific character you want. So you kind of like have summoned enough at that point where you've earned the right to just outright buy a character that you want.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of nice because it's like, maybe if you're having really bad luck at the slot machine thing, if you just keep on having enough bad luck, they will give you this freebie summon. And it's like, you just beat the RNG and everything.
Oh, okay, so you take sort of the randomness out of it. You get to sort of select the character you want to buy specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So for this, like in the Persona thing, if you summoned enough, you could just say, hey, I haven't gotten Joker yet. Give me that Joker, or give me Panther, or whatever. And the character pool you can spark from changes with every event. So that sounds nice, but the thing is, in order to get enough of the, I forget what they're called in Dragalia Lost, it's like worm sigils or something. In order to get enough of these sigils, you have to spend like upwards of $300 to like $400, depending on like where you've been getting the summoning, or where you've been getting the currency to do summoning from.
Wow.
So like you can accumulate enough free currency to do that. But if you were to just buy the crystals off the store to do summons, depending on whether, depending on how many you bought at once, because you get like bulk discounts at some point, you would have to spend between $300 and $400 to spark one character.
Whew. So
it amazes me whenever I read the subreddit where they're like, oh man, I'm just having a tough time summoning this character. Or, maybe it's not even the Persona event, but you just need one really specific character to round out your team or whatever. And they're just like, I can't do it. I can just wait for them. And inevitably somebody will just kind of drop in like, well, you could always just wait for, another event to come by where they're in the pool, and then you can spark them. Like, that is just an option. Like, well, I'll just wait till the timing is right and then put in $300 to get this one character.
Wow.
So, I mean, and again, I'm not a hardcore Dragalia player. I'm not a whale by any means, but it strikes me as kind of shocking that it is like thrown around this commonly as an option. If you're just like really stuck in the game, just be like, time to drop $300 on this extra character that has been eluding me.
That seems insane to me.
It seems like a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a game that you don't pay anything to play.
Right.
So, I mean, I want to support developers. I would kick in a couple bucks. I've done this in the past for video games that are sort of free or free to play. If I'm having a good time with it, and it's
I'll do that occasionally.
Yeah, terribly, I don't know, grubby when it comes to its mechanics. I'll happily, buy your little launch coin package or whatever they usually sort of roll out kind of in the first couple weeks of a video game.
Sure.
But those are never $300 though.
No. I feel like if I spent $300, if I wanted a character that much, that I would go in for $300 on them, like that would be it. That's what I'm spending on this game for the lifetime of the game.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I mean, that's 5 copies of a $60 game. That's probably more video games than, your average gamer buys in a year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm paying a subscription for Final Fantasy, and it doesn't come up to that much per year. It's kind of shocking to me.
That's insane.
But anyway, so speaking of Final Fantasy, this weekend I happened to end up on, I was doing some Googling because I forget what I was looking at about the game, but I ended up not clicking on a wiki like I thought I was, but I ended up on a Final Fantasy 14 site selling content clears. Does this sound familiar to you at all?
It does not. I'm not familiar with that term, no.
Okay, so basically you can go on these, I'm going to just call them shady websites because they're pretty shady. And you can buy clears for content in the game, and usually what this is there will be like a raid team maintaining this website or whatever. I don't know the exact ins and outs. But you send them your login information for the game, and they will come in with their group of pro raiders and like take your character through the latest, most difficult content in the game and clear it for you, so you don't have to spend all your time like learning the fights and getting your own team together.
Oh.
And then they give you all the rewards and everything, so that's very exciting as well. And this is like super against the terms of service of the game to do like any part of this. Like, first of all, exchange real money for in-game services and like share your login info around. So it's like very frowned upon by the developers and imagine the community as well.
Yeah.
But I spent some time poking on the site because I was just like, oh man, now that I'm here, might as well see what this is all about. And then I looked at the prices for having somebody take my character through the latest raid tier. And can you even guess how much they would charge for just a full clear?
I mean, no. I mean, I'm still sort of blown away by the $300 thing from the other game, so I can't even imagine what premium Final Fantasy puts on this.
Now, it would cost, for the latest clear of the latest raid tier, it would be $500. I was like, oh my god, that's even more than the Dragalia thing.
Yeah. Why would you not want to play the game that you pay to play?
Well, see, that's the thing. For a second, I was looking at this, and the way they have it written out on the site is like, so, what do you get for your $500? You first of all, you go through these 4 floors of the raid, and then you get, the other exciting thing is not only do you get the clear or whatever, but you get all the loot directly given to your character, because normally if you go in, you have to like draw straws among the 8 people in your group who's going to get the loot. But here, if they do it, they just give it all to you directly. So I was like, oh man, that's pretty good, because then you're just done.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, I mean, you're also just paying to not have to really do those fights anymore. And a lot of it, to me, a lot of the reason I'm playing is I find those fights fun to kind of learn and struggle with. But at the same time, when they said, you just get everything automatically, there's no fighting over it, I was like, oh man, that actually sounds really good. But yeah, I mean, first of all, that's a lot of money. And I also just don't want to, I think it's silly to pay to not have to have an excuse to play this game taken away.
Yeah. I don't know. It's shocking to me that exists. It's one of those weird, I don't know. Every now and then I'll see something or read something or learn something about like a hobby or a pastime, or I don't know, just some world that I feel like I know sort of in and out, where I'm just sort of like, there's a whole other layer to this. There's a whole other like, it's not always necessarily a dark side. There's just some other sort of like tier of understanding of this thing that I thought I understood pretty well. So yeah, I mean, it's a little shocking to me that, I don't know, that you, I guess, would be so into a video game, but not have the time bandwidth or ability to play it to that level, and then would pay somebody $500 to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it could be a combination of a lot of those things where either you're just not up to it, or like I said, you don't have the time, or you really just want, I don't know, the prestige of having one of those shiny weapons on your back while you like strut around the town. But yeah, it's not really. I mean, I didn't do it. I don't think I would ever do this.
Well, good. I mean, there was a follow-up question I was working up to. But
yeah, but I was just like, oh
excellent.
Man, $500 just following the $300 thing. I'm not spending nearly enough on video games. I'm not spending enough, or I'm not spending as much as I could be, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I had seen, or I had like the sticker shock of just finding one of these sites. And especially just like in the same week that I was doing the currency conversion in Dragalia Lost, I was just like, really? People are doing like $300-$400 for one of these characters?
Yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know what people's spending habits are in this game. And, if that is within your means, then go for it if that makes you happy. But I feel like there are people out there who are just like sparking on the regular, which it's like, yeah, that is so different from how I play the game.
Yeah. Well, let's say, the news stories about, Fortnite back in the day, or Genshin Impact shortly after launch, where it's like, they made $1 billion in a single afternoon. And I was like, people are playing video games in a very different way than I play video games. Because, I'm not putting money into Fortnite on my first day, or Genshin Impact on my first day. That's just staggering to me. Yeah. And here, DJ, I thought where you were going with this was, in the past week, they announced the release date for the new Ratchet & Clank game for the PS5.
Oh, yeah.
And also, in addition to sort of announcing the release date, announced that it's going to be $70.
Okay, but I mean, we kind of knew that was coming, right?
Yeah, yes, but it's never really sort of crossed my path. It's never been a thing that I've had to sort of like emotionally reckon.
Oh, I see. This is the first game that you were interested in.
This will be the first $70 game that I presumably will buy. I had a moment where I was like, I mean, it's only $10 more than $60, but it just sounds like a lot more money.
Yeah. Oh, man. Is Final Fantasy 16 going to be $70? It will be, right?
Probably.
You were not playing games back on the Super Nintendo, but there was a point where games prices were getting up there. There are some cartridges that would go for like $60, $70, $80. I don't know how I afforded it back then. I think that was like 1 or 2 games a year, and that would be it. They had the last.
I mean, adjusted for inflation, that's like $150.
Yeah, it was in like 90s money. So
yeah.
PlayStation 1 came along, and games were like $20, $30, maybe $40 if it was like a multiple disc RPG. And I was just like, oh man, we can just afford all these things.
Yeah, I know. That's that definitely predates sort of my awareness of the cost of video games.
I mean, it's good that development costs have increased, so it makes sense that games would go up. I'm sure it's just going directly into all the executives' pockets, and not the guy doing the textures in Final Fantasy 16 is not getting a pay increase. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's that's where I thought you were going with sort of not spending enough money on video games, because I don't know, I just recently had to sort of reckon with the fact that the future would require me to spend more money than I currently do on video games. So yeah,
look forward to that.
Like you said, it costs a lot of money to make video games, and I get that. And for a thing that will inevitably give me dozens of hours of entertainment, I probably shouldn't necessarily complain too much. But
I mean, it better.
$70 is a lot of money
on it. It's going to be Ratchet & Clank, the only game you play this year.
2021 is the year of Ratchet & Clank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I also have to buy a $400 console to play Ratchet & Clank, so.
What console are you going to buy that only costs $400?
Doesn't a PS5 cost $400?
I thought it was. Was the digital one is $400?
Yes.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. I mean,
I can remember for a second if they were doing the 600 thing for the disc one.
I could be wrong. But I mean, I've not really sort of participated in the hunt for a PS5 because I mean, there really hasn't been anything to me to justify sort of wanting to buy one and having nothing to play on it. But I had it in my head that a PS5 cost. I'm Googling now. $1,099 on eBay.
Okay, well then, I mean, that's another thing, is whether they're able to get the supply issues settled out before Ratchet and Clank comes out.
No, PlayStation 5 is
$1,000.
$1,099. The PS5 launched in November, starting at $399 for the digital edition and $499 for the Ultra HD Blu-ray.
$499. Well, I mean, that's the one that everybody wants, right?
It's the $100 more for a Blu-ray player,
yeah. Well, I mean, if you buy the $1,099 version off eBay, then that 10% or the $10 price hike on the game doesn't sound so bad anymore, does it?
Really just putting things into perspective. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Might as well just bump it up to $80.
Just might as well do the whole day. Yeah. Get that collector's edition with a statue of Clank or whatever.
Ugh.
I don't know if that exists. I made that up.
Well, it might exist.
And now I want it. Yeah.
Anyway, so I think the takeaway here is you need to just become a pro Final Fantasy raider in your free time, so you can make $500 off all of these suckers who want their raid clears.
It's the new gig economy. We should start an app for that.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, to do like 4 raid clears for one character probably takes like an hour if you're really good at it. Pretty good return.
Yeah, it's not a bad return on investment.
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean,
plus they're the ones getting
scalping. Just that people scalping PS5s are not making $1,000 an hour. I don't know. Maybe they are. Who knows?
Depends how many PS5s they've got stacked up in the back.
Yeah. just I don't know, a trunk full of them. Yeah.
I mean, probably just one you can fit in a trunk. They're quite large.
Yeah. I mean, I need a new coffee table. So if I roll the cost of a coffee table and a new video game console together, $500 is not unreasonable.
Yeah. That's good. Just, probably keeps the living room nice and warm also.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And I can play video games on it.
Yeah. But you can't play on a PS5 is Bowser's Fury.
You cannot play Bowser's Fury on a PS5. That is verifiably true. So yeah, Bowser's Fury is the new little pack-in that comes with the Switch edition of New Super Mario Bros. 3D. That was a Wii U game that I presume not a lot of people got to play. And like many other really good Wii U games, it has finally made its way to the Switch.
I keep forgetting that lots of people did not own a Wii U.
Yeah.
Because I had one, so I just assumed it was normal. That's not the case.
Yeah. Just living rooms across America all had Wii U's. Yeah. I mean, I still have a Wii U. It's still plugged in. We still use it occasionally. Yeah. But I never had New Super Mario Brothers 3D for the Wii U. So when this came out for the Switch, I was...
Super Mario 3D World, right?
There you go. What did I say?
I think you said something like 3 different Mario games at once.
They're all... Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay because you didn't have those, so...
It's a naming problem. Yeah, but...
That's also true.
It is Super Mario 3D World is the correct name of the thing.
Okay.
Right?
No, that's it. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. You got me doubting myself now. But on the Switch, it comes packed with this new game called Bowser's Fury. And what it is...
Wait, but so did you go just directly to this? Just to keep interrupting you constantly? You weren't even curious about, what's this other game?
I am, but I knew that... I didn't know. I suspected that Super Mario 3D World would be a pretty big undertaking. The modern Mario games are huge and just last forever. And it has sort of co-op and stuff like that. And I just didn't have anybody to sort of co-op with at the moment. And I had read a couple of things in advance of the release of this that said some really interesting things about Bowser's Fury. And my curiosity was piqued. So I had the choice when I got this game. Do I sort of spend hundreds of hours playing the 4-year-old Super Mario game, or do I dip into this new thing, this Bowser's Fury that maybe not a lot of folks know about, so I can talk about it on the podcast and potentially have, I don't know, an extra fun time.
Okay. It's true. I have heard a lot more people talking about Bowser's Fury than 3D World being back on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sort of a Mario, a Super Mario game, a 3D game, whatever, is kind of a known quantity to a certain degree. Plus, this is a game that came out for a console that you and I both owned 4 years ago.
Right.
So the Bowser's Fury thing is new. And it's a pretty interesting approach, I think, to creating a Mario game, which is exciting. Odyssey was awesome. Super Mario Odyssey a couple years ago was such a good game and such a sort of a unique take on kind of what you can do with sort of a Mario universe. I don't know. I sort of wondered, where does Nintendo sort of go next with Mario? And where they've gone next has been to sort of re-release a bunch of old Mario games. Yeah. So this Bowser's Fury thing is pretty unique in that you are Mario and you sort of get sucked into an alternate universe, as Mario is wont to do. And there it is sort of a series of islands that are sort of constantly under attack by a giant towering kaiju version of Bowser. He's basically Godzilla in this. Right, yes, yeah. And by Bowser, I mean the CEO of Nintendo of America.
Yeah, just some huge guy in a suit.
Yeah. No, he's just giant and black with glowing red eyes, and he breathes fire and stomps around and just lays a wake of destruction everywhere he goes. As Mario, of course, you are trying to stop that from happening. You're trying to rescue this little island nation from the periodic and ongoing attacks by angry Godzilla Bowser. So it gets kind of a really interesting sort of a way to approach this thing in terms of scale, because Bowser is huge and you are tiny, and your primary sort of collection of power-ups, because it is sort of an add-on to Super Mario 3D World, are all sort of cat-based for some reason. You get a little bell and you turn into a cat, and it allows you to kind of scale walls and crawl up the sides of things that you couldn't crawl up before. You still get, the fire flower and the Tanuki suit and those little fun things, but the best stuff, the secret hidden stuff in this game, is primarily accessed by putting on a cat suit. And there's cats everywhere. Like, there's mama cats, and she's been separated from her baby cats, and you have to round up the kittens and get them back to their mom. And these are little secondary objectives, so there's lots of cat stuff. Cat lovers, this is a game for you. But yeah, it's really unique in that Mario has to sort of knock the tar off of the black whatever, the nothing off of a series of lighthouses on these islands, and as they light up, they shine on Bowser, and he goes back to hibernation. He crawls back into the ocean, and 10 minutes later he will come roaring out again, and you have to lather, rinse, repeat.
Oh, he literally just climbs out of the ocean like he is Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot of Godzilla in this, so you, as Mario, will hop from island to island, going through a series of sort of collectathons and physical challenges, like trying to make your way across a bunch of platforms that will disappear quickly. Mario things.
Yeah.
But you're collecting little cat coins. They're called cat shines, and they power up your lighthouses, and you're trying to sort of shine tons of light on angry Bowser. In addition, periodically, Mario can collect enough of these little cat shines where he gets huge as well, and he turns into giant kaiju cat Mario, and he will go stomping around the universe, and you will have giant knockdown, drag-out battles with Bowser in the middle of the ocean. where he will try to breathe fire and do furious punches, and will spin his shell and throw it at you. And as Mario, you pick up things and throw them at him, and you can punch him. You get a series of little power-ups and stuff like that. But everything has this big weight to it, where Mario goes stomping around and, will grapple with Bowser and have fights with him. And, Bowser will inevitably get shunned and crawl back into the ocean for a few minutes, and you'll shrink down and go through some more objectives.
If only Nintendo had some kind of like King Kong inspired mascot that they could have thrown in there.
We need a Kong v Bowser. Yeah.
It just seems very timely.
Yeah. But it's awesome. And it's, I don't know, I don't want to say it's bite-sized, because I did kind of the first collection, because it's a Mario game, and inevitably you sort of get to a point where it's like, oh, it's over, and the credits run, and then no, wait, there's 50 more things for you to do.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So the first sort of collection of islands and lighthouses, 100%, it took me about 6 hours. Pretty substantial still.
What?
And then the credits rolled, and then it opened up into this whole other, 50 more things for me to collect. So if that second half takes as long as the first half, 12 hours. It's, that's a substantial gaming experience, but it is pretty slight compared to these monster Mario games that have come out before. So it's not necessarily kind of a bite-sized gaming experience, but it's definitely something you can kind of get through in a weekend or two. And I don't know, it's exciting to see credits roll on a Mario game, to feel like I've done all the things, I've collected all the stuff. I rescued the princess or whatever, and got to see credits roll on a Mario game. So, yeah, I've had a really good time with Bowser's Fury. I hammered through the thing this weekend, collected all the first 50 cat shines, and fought with Bowser a number of times. One of the things that I sort of really admire about sort of the build of this game is that everything is interconnected. There's no real load screens. It doesn't sort of disappear off. You don't go like to the next village or the next series of islands and wait for a load screen to kind of finish doing its thing for you to come back and do it. Everything is on the same ocean. You're sort of, traveling from island to island to island in this sort of series of interconnected things.
Yeah. It's like an actual kind of open world design, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. And again, it sort of feels like an evolution from the Odyssey experience, where it was sort of semi-open world. There were like mini worlds within the bigger context of the game that you would fly your ship in between. But here in Bowser's Fury, everything is kind of on the same body of water. So kind of once you're in it, as Mario, you're bouncing back and forth between different locations. You'll find a thing on one island that solves a puzzle on another island, and you have to think of a creative way to get it there. And you don't, again, wait for a load screen or put it in your pocket and save it for later. It's all sort of interconnected, and these challenges are kind of seamlessly spread out across this and this little universe they've created.
Well, it sounds like much more substantial than I was expecting when they first announced it, because I don't really know what I thought this was going to be, but I imagine it would be more along the lines of like maybe an extra world or two in the same style as like the rest of the worlds in 3D World, but with this weird kind of extra Bowser element.
Yeah.
But it really sounds like it uses similar elements from 3D World, but it's almost like a standalone different game.
Yeah, and I've not played 3D World, as we established, so I don't necessarily have a sense of what it recycles or reuses, but I've read some stuff online about it sort of recycling some assets, and some of the power-ups and some of the characters that you encounter and stuff like that all come out of that main game. But yeah, it's... I don't know. Like, if this was it, if this was the entire package, if I had spent my $60 on Bowser's Fury, I would feel like this was worth it. I would feel like I just had a really good gaming experience. I had a ton of fun with this thing. I got to finish a Mario game, which is exciting, and it sort of dropped another set of objectives on me that I can kind of go back and play with if I wanted to. This is worth price of admission as far as I'm concerned. So, if you're on the fence about the Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury package, and you've maybe played 3D World before, I don't know, I would give this a shot. If you have the luxury of thinking $60 is accessible for this, then I would recommend this thing. I had a really, really good time with it.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm not super eager to just play 3D World again. I mean, I had a good time with it, but I played it 3 or 4 years ago or whenever that was. I was kind of wondering if they would maybe ever sell just the Bowser thing separately, but hearing that you're this much into it, and I'm kind of like, well, maybe I'll check it out at some point.
Yeah. I would back that. I think that's I know what your personal gaming backlog looks like, DJ. I know you have a lot of games at the ready. So, maybe not tomorrow, but yeah, I suspect, I know that you enjoyed Odyssey. I think we remember us having a very sort of fawning series of episodes about how much fun we were having with that game. And this feels like it kind of scratches that itch in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm mostly intrigued by the fact that it is just kind of a new format for Mario. Because they've done, like you said, the Odyssey style open world, like going back to Mario 64. But he's never really been on just one enormous map that persists throughout the whole session.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is where the next Mario game is going to end up.
I don't know. That would be really interesting. I think the thing that I sort of liked about Odyssey is that each world was its own sort of like self-contained thematic thing. Mm-hmm. So this what you call it? What was the city called? New Kong City?
New Donk City.
New Donk City, yeah, was great and had its own sort of series of challenges sort of tied to the city environment. But once you sort of got through that, you got on the ship and flew to another thing that had a whole other theme. And there were 8 or 9 of those in the game. So it was fun to sort of see what's the next theme they're going to cook up.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I necessarily need like the seamless open world in a Mario game. It feels like more of a Zelda thing to me, and they've shown that it works with a Zelda game. But
totally.
Yeah, I like the kind of like distinct areas in a Mario game. I don't really need to like physically travel between them. I'm fine just hopping on the ship.
Yes. Yeah, you don't get that in Bowser's Fury, obviously, because you don't go anywhere else. And again, I imagine in an open world game, in a huge giant, if we did the Legend of Mario, they could cook that up in a way that was kind of interconnected. But it was interesting to sort of see for Bowser's Fury that, they came up with one theme, one sort of collection of ideas that were going to, take place on this body of water, and never took you out of that experience. They, just dumped you in there with all of your resources as Mario and all of your little upgrades and suits and stuff like that. And, gave the ability to kind of tool around and play with it.
Yeah. Oh. Well, cool. Yeah. I was waiting for people to get their hands on this and tell me about it. Because I was pretty sure I wasn't going to go back in on 3D World immediately. But I'm glad it seems to be like resonating with people.
Yeah. I'm sort of at the point where I don't want to go to 3D World right away. I kind of want to go do the other 50 cat shines in Bowser's Fury. So hopefully this, playing it sort of out of order, I guess, has not ruined me on the 3D World experience. 3D
World sounds different enough that, I don't know, maybe by the time you get all the cat shines, it'll be a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I have one other observation about Bowser's Fury that I want to share that it does sort of, that I think is kind of cool and unique, is that you can collect your power-ups as you play around in the game, and you can put them in your pocket if you don't need them right away. You can save them for later.
Oh.
Which I don't think a Mario game has done before, unless 3D World did it, and I just didn't play it, so I don't know.
Well, Super Mario World did that.
Did Super Mario World do it? Okay.
Yeah, depending on how you want to look at it, like I think they did that in Super Mario Bros. 3. But did they do it in 3D World? I can't remember. But so how does it work in this? Do you just have like an inventory?
Yes. Yeah. So you have if you're rocking the catsuit and you find a little Tanuki leaf, you touch the Tanuki leaf and you can put it on right away, or you can put it in your pocket and save it for later.
Okay, I think that sounds like how it might have worked in 3D World. Or am I thinking of Odyssey? I don't know. Did Odyssey even have power-ups? Not really.
Well, it had like mushrooms and stuff like that. But everything was tied to the character that you inhabited. So your abilities were all about throwing your hat at another enemy and
it was more about like completely transforming that.
Right. Yeah.
I kind of remember just like the animation of picking up a power up and having the other one like pop out of you and get swapped into some menu somewhere else. It's okay. Or I could just be imagining it.
Yeah. So in this, it's up on the D-pad. You hold up on the D-pad and it brings up a little sub menu that has, the little mushroom, the cat bell, the tanuki leaf, the fire flower, and you then AAA to sort of select which one you want, and it moves the little cursor over, and then you let go of the buttons, and it transforms you right away. Oh. And the suit that you have on goes into your pocket as well.
Do you if you get hit, do you lose them?
No, they're yours.
No. Oh, so you could just swap to a different power at any point?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that is very different.
Yeah, and you can sort of do it on the fly too, because if you just tap up on the D-pad, no matter what you're doing, it immediately swaps you to whatever the cursor is selected on. So if you take a hit and you go back to being little Mario, and you just want to go back to being bigger Mario and have the extra hit, just leave the cursor as I've done on the mushroom, and you tap up on the D-pad, and it just immediately drops a mushroom on Mario's head, and he transforms up to Big Mario. And you can collect up to 5 of each of the little power-ups. So you start with your pockets empty, but as the game progresses, you easily collect 5 of everything as you go. And so, you're not always sort of wandering around, as I've done sometimes in Mario games, going, please just give me a mushroom. I don't want to die. It's been so long since a checkpoint.
Oh, but you expend one out of your inventory every time you swap to it, though?
Yes. Yeah. If you... Okay. If you need to.
So I was thinking it was like a power wheel almost. What did I just play? That Babel in the Wood game where you just had all the different transformations. It sounded like they might have done that with this, which I thought, well, that is a very different approach to power-ups, which...
that'd be super clever, but that's not quite it.
Yeah, I mean, power-ups has always been kind of I don't know. They would kind of punish you by taking them away whenever you got hit and you had to go find another one. And you just wouldn't have powers until you got, you recovered it. But I could see, if they just made a Mario game where you could swap at will, I don't think I'd have an issue with that. I don't think it would lead to a lot of interesting situations where you're just like, oh man, what is the correct power to use in this situation?
Yeah. Well, then you're back to sort of it being Zelda, right?
It is a little more Zelda, I guess.
The subset of the area that you're in the Zelda game is tuned specifically to the weapon or the tool that you just got.
I actually just thought of the Breath of the Wild, what do they call the powers? The magnet power and swapping between those as I was describing that. So I guess they made that game already.
But it wasn't a Mario game, so that would be kind of a unique approach to this thing. And I don't know, maybe it's better off sort of leaving those things to Zelda. But I don't know, the more that these things kind of overlap and kind of bleed into each other, I think the more interesting it makes them.
Yeah, maybe the next one. I mean, I don't know where they go from Mario Odyssey. Maybe you just end up collecting powers and adding them to your power wheel in the next Mario game. It could be cool. Maybe the next Mario is like a Metroidvania. Is that too much? Is that going too far?
No, I mean, there's always little elements of that in Mario games anyways. I mean, if you think of the cat suit, there are things that are inaccessible to you unless you have the cat suit and can climb up to them.
Right.
Because none of the other power-ups will get you to that place. So yeah, that sort of exists in a microcosm of Mario, but it's not... I don't think it's ever been part of the main loop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not really levels aren't really designed for you to be able to swap on the fly like that. It's always kind of if I can just hang on to the cat suit up until this point in the level, I can get that extra coin or whatever.
Right, yeah. Or the fire flower, just having sort of infinite fireballs at your disposal makes it easier to get through, some of the crazy rooms with all the enemies bouncing around. And what's the other one that pops up the boomerang, which is fun because there'll be little things that are just out of reach. And you're like, geez, if only I had a boomerang and could throw it out and get that that thing hanging off the edge of a cliff. And here it's just, well, if I have a boomerang flower in my pocket, I can just transform to it.
I forgot about that boomerang. That was very good.
It was kind of a deep pull. What are those? The brothers, the little... what are they called?
The Hammer Brothers?
Is the Hammer Brothers
the
that have the white suits and they throw little boomerangs at you constantly?
Yeah.
those guys.
That was another Mario 3 thing. Man, it took him like 20 years to get his own boomerang.
When you got it, though, it was so worth it.
Yeah, oh yeah, paid off big time.
Yeah. What's one of the things that's fun in this is you can... okay, I promised one more thing about Bowser's Fury, but here's one more.
Quick, 10 more things that I like about this game.
You can bop a Koopa, which is one of the turtle characters in the Mario universe, and it will knock the shell off of him. And it's just a little sort of like half-naked Koopa in little underwear and a tank top.
Yeah.
And he chases after you and tries to get his shell back. And if you don't pick it up right away using the Y button, it just sort of bounces around the environment and the little Koopa guy will chase after it. But if you pick it up, you can tap the shoulder button and Mario will jump into the shell.
Oh, yeah.
And then sort of bounce around in the environment and, collect coins and do crazy stuff until it kicks him out again and he steps out and he's all kind of staggered and dizzy from spinning around. Which I don't remember happening in a Mario game before, again, unless it's one of the ones that I didn't play. So there are things that this game is doing that sort of feel fun and unique and new to me.
Yeah. I don't want to just come back on every single thing. You're like, I can't believe this new thing. But I'm like, I think that was in 3D World.
I think that probably existed before, yeah.
Right. I think it was in the other game that is attached to the one that you're playing. But no, that was very fun.
Yeah. I'm going to have to issue an apology when I get to 3D World for
like, they just stole the stuff from Bowser's Fury. What's wrong with this game?
Really? Yeah. So stay tuned in 2-3 weeks when I get to 3D World and none of this seems new or fun anymore and I'm angry about it.
You're just like, I can't believe how derivative this game is. It's the worst.
Yep.
It was exactly like the game that came out 4 years after it.
Yep.
Oh, no, that's good. I'm looking forward to that.
Retcon?
Yeah. Yes, all of these things came from Bowser's Fury. They brought it back in a time machine.
Correct. So talk to me about Bravely Default 2's final demo.
Oh,
DJ.
man. Yeah. So I didn't even realize there was an earlier demo to this. But I was just like, Bravely Default 2 final demo. That's weird. But sure. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. You could call something the final demo, even if there's only one demo. But
is it the final demo or is it the only demo? In this case, it's not the only demo.
Yeah, no. So I guess I just missed that one. Who knows what happened in that demo? But anyway, I played this final one, which came out a little while ago. The full game is still coming out at some point soon. But I've been on this Bravely Default kick recently. I was like, there's this demo popping up, got this weird name on it, might as well just check it out to see what has happened with the game in the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 years since I haven't been keeping up with it. So just to recap, Bravely Default, kind of the retro Final Fantasy throwback, turn-based RPG battles. In this demo, I believe you're playing Chapter 1 or a section of Chapter 1 from the main game. There, it mentions that at this point, there is a prologue that has happened. So you're kind of dumped, not really into the middle of it, but there has been some stuff that happened. And I assume that involves like all the characters in your party meeting up with each other and figuring out why they have to go on this quest around the world. But you kind of...
that is unseen in the demo.
That is not in the demo. So you'll have to do that. You'll have to experience that again if you decide to play the full game. But you kind of hit the ground running at this demo. So you already got a party with all 4 characters in it. They have been assigned jobs because this game has the job system again. They have sub-jobs. They have all their equipment filled out. So it just throws you into it. I'm like, okay, this is very familiar. It's got, same sort of party layout, same sort of like job and ability system. Seems like a Bravely Default game. And then so the first thing I noticed though that's different, besides the fact that it is now kind of a full 3D map that you explore. You can like spin the camera around, and enemies are out on the field rather than having random encounters now. But you get thrown into a battle, and it's no longer kind of the like the kind of Dragon Quest style turn-based battle system where you have 4 characters and you give them each orders, and then you say, like, okay, execute or end turn or whatever, and they all take their turns all at once. but it's not quite the Final Fantasy style either, where you like one character pops up and you give them orders and then they just immediately do whatever you told them to do. So you kind of had this character dexterity figure into the battles now, where depending on what job your character is, or like if they're wearing heavy armor or whatever, their turn will come around much faster or much more often than a character who has a slower speed. But in practice, it makes the battles feel very different. Because the other thing that Bravely Default had going for it is it had this aptly named Brave and Default system. And what that was is, in the first one, you would have each turn, each character would earn one Brave point that you could then spend. That's how you would perform your action. You had to spend this Brave point. But using this Brave and Default system, you could choose either to defend and stock up these Brave points. So then you could spend more of them on a future turn and take more than one action. Or if you were feeling very aggressive, you could sort of kind of go into debt and spend more of these points all at once, and take 4 actions on one turn, and then you just wouldn't be able to act again for 3 turns until you accumulated all the points back.
Oh, interesting.
So it was very cool, and it was a great twist on the typical kind of turn-based system. It added a lot of strategic elements to it. There are a lot of encounters which seem to be designed around characters doing this, because sometimes a boss would just become invulnerable for a few turns, or if you tried to attack it, it would hit you with this huge counterattack. So once you realize what was going on, you'd be like, okay, so I should probably just spend a few turns doing nothing. And then once he puts the shield down, we'll just hit him 4 times in a row. It'll be great. But this one, you can't really, it doesn't work quite the same way anymore. Because previously you could say, okay, I'm going to have my fighter or whatever. He's going to attack 3 times. Everybody else will be kind of conservative, only take 1 turn. And then the rest of the team will kind of cover for him while he earns the Brave points back. But in this, it's just you've got the one character, you're giving them commands, and then they do whatever you tell them to do. And then the rest of the team, their turns pop up eventually. Which, I don't know if that sounds like a dramatic change, but just playing it, it was so weird to get used to. Because it's not only your team whose turns are staggered, it's the enemies have their turns pop up whenever their energy meter or speed meter or whatever comes back around. Mm-hmm. So suddenly it's not just the Dragon Quest style, your team facing off against their team. It's just people are just taking turns whenever it's their turn, and it's weird, and I wasn't quite sure how to deal with it in the demo.
Huh. That sounds... I mean, the thing you described, the Brave and Default thing, sounded pretty unique, and it sounds like the newest iteration of this is a little less unique.
I mean, it's the same system, but it's maybe I just didn't spend enough time with it to really maximize how everything worked. One of the things I really enjoyed about the way it worked in the first one is you had these moves which were okay, this move will execute before everybody else's, or this one will go last, which is a very interesting decision. But you could, once you kind of figured out when the enemies were going to take their turns, or which of your characters are faster than the other ones, you could plan out, okay, I'm going to do all my buffs at the start of the turn, and then my monk has all these very slow moves that will go at the end once everybody's stacked all these attack up buffs on him. So that'll be great. And this one, it's not quite as clear, kind of the order of things, I guess, because you have to pay attention to how frequently your character's turns are coming up. Which is fine. I mean, that's similar to how it's worked in Final Fantasy games, for a long time. But it's just weird because you still have these, you have the option to spend or put Brave points in reserve. It's just kind of happening on a character by character basis rather than having the entire team go through it all at once.
Gotcha. Okay, maybe I didn't quite understand it when you first described it, but
so that was very different. Not necessarily a bad change, just not really what I was expecting coming off the first one.
So it sounds a little a little quicker, a little zippier.
It may be, yeah. I guess you spend shorter chunks giving characters commands, because previously you'd have to go like one by one through the list and kind of plan out the entire turn, and now it's just like, oh, whoever's ready, tell them what to do, and then they'll do it. And we'll see who comes up next.
Yeah.
So aside from that, the battle system felt very similar.
Sorry to cut you off, but in a lot of RPGs, sort of on the side of the screen or on the 3DS, they're on the lower screen, you'll see sort of the battle order. You'll get to see who goes first and which character is going to fight next. And so as you look at that sort of timeline of turn-based attacks, you're sort of, like you said, sort of plotting out what you're going to do early in the round versus who's going to sort of wrap things up.
Yeah.
Do you get a visual depiction of that in Bravely Default 2? Can you sort of see sort of the timeline of who's going to go, or does it just sort of, it's happening?
So you kind of do, and it took me a while to figure out how this appears, but you actually have a meter underneath each character's stats that shows sort of how close they are to taking their turn. And it's interesting. So I read the tutorial about this after I figured out that there's a tutorial buried in there somewhere. And they've done it. They've designed it in a way where it's still somewhat ambiguous of when exactly everybody's going to go. So like your characters have this meter filling up. You don't really necessarily know like how much longer they're going to take to fill. You can kind of see like, oh, this one is almost full, so he's probably going next. And that's just your team. Like for the enemies, they don't have those meters, but occasionally they'll get like a little exclamation point over their head, and that just means they will be attacking soon. Not like next, because occasionally like 3 or 4 enemies will have it all at once, and you're just like, oh no, maybe I should defend. So it's kind of meant to give you some idea of what to expect, but not just spell it out as explicitly as you would find in like a tactics game or something.
Got it.
So I think, it's useful, but still, like, again, it's very different than Bravely Default 1.
Right.
Not necessarily worse, just different.
It sounds worse. I mean, from my perspective, I think I would rather play Bravely Default 1 than this thing that you're describing.
It depends. I mean, you might be more into it, because I feel like, at least just after playing this demo, Bravely Default 1 felt a little more strategic, in that you were planning your entire squad's actions all at once.
Right.
But I could imagine, like, once I didn't go in and reset all my characters' jobs in this. I just went with whatever they were assigned at the start. So I imagine if you were able to come up with your own custom team composition that was a little more purposeful, you could, you'd have a better grasp on how you wanted your team to perform.
Sure. And I suspect at some point, sight unseen, the game gives you, an amulet that speeds up your attack rate or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it, and this is another change from Bravely Default 1. When you go into equip your characters, you have this encumbrance stat. I forget what it's called in the game, but basically, if they're wearing too much equipment, they get bogged down and their turn comes up slower.
Sure.
And then, other, like, depending on what job it is, they just have a different innate kind of speed value. So, like, a monk would be faster than a knight or somebody wearing heavy armor or something like that. And that is actually kind of a nightmare, at least just within this demo, because the demo itself, since it's just a limited demo, you can only play it for 5 hours per save file. Like, you can play it as many times as you want, but once you hit 5 hours on that save, you have to start a new save and start over from the beginning.
Oh, wow.
But I got into these situations where I would, like, be in a shop and just poring over all the stats, looking at all this equipment. Like, oh man,
4.5 hours.
This is going to be it's going to make a heavy character. I don't have time to figure this out. I just want to, just find the ones that make the numbers go up and not have them be over encumbered. It was just like a lot to deal with in this demo.
Huh. Well, I mean, it's the cool thing about it is the demo. So if I wanted to experiment with it, I could just play the demo, right? I mean, I don't have to really risk anything other than time. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds interesting. It certainly sounds different from, my history of playing RPGs.
Yeah.
And, the 70-something hours I've put into Yakuza 7 at this point. It sounds very different from that system. So,
oh yeah, it was very different from that game. I mean, it's actually kind of like the Yakuza system, because like characters in that just take their turn based on how quick they are, right?
Yes. I guess I don't really have an understanding of how the game determines the order of characters that fight.
I think they also have a speed stat in that game.
Oh, okay.
And you can put different accessories on them or whatever to raise and lower that.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're telling everybody what they're going to be doing, and you just go back and forth between your turn and the enemy's turn.
Right. When video games, and Yakuza 7 does this, gives you the ability to have your teammates sort of like auto fight. And Yakuza you can sort of like play conservatively. Dragon Quest games have done this in the past too. Do you ever use that, or do you control everybody all the time?
It depends. I typically like to control everybody, just because
yeah, me too.
A lot of the time I'm just paranoid that if I put it on full auto battle, they will just start burning through all their magic points. And I'm just like, no, we were saving those. Although I've noticed that in more recent games, they will specifically have a setting which is like auto battle, but don't spend magic points, which I'm like, oh, that's what I want. That they were paying attention. Clearly they played one of these games before. But still, like I like to just tell everybody what to do. Not because I need to do that, but that's kind of why I'm playing the game.
Yeah, yes. I remember, I forget, it must have been one of the SMT games, the Shin Megami Tensei games, and I remember putting that on and the character immediately just burning through like 4 health potions that I had banked. And I was like, whoa, we're turning that off. We can't, just throw around health potions. We're saving those. Yeah.
I forget, is it in Persona 3 you can't even control your other party members aside from the main guy? Or maybe they changed that for one of the re-releases or something?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I can't remember. I shouldn't speak about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's like an AI control option in this one. At least I didn't. I mean, it's not something that I seek out, so it could very well be in there. I just didn't use it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sort of in grinding hell on Yakuza 7 right now, and and I see the little option down in the bottom left-hand corner for, issuing kind of party commands and how they'll kind of auto battle. And I'm like, no, I still can't bring myself to use that.
I would actually use it in Yakuza occasionally.
Yeah.
I would just, I just have my kind of opener character do the big hit, which hits everybody and gets their health real low.
Right.
And then you hit the auto button and, everybody just runs in and finishes them off using their melee.
Okay, that's smart. You're not using it for the big bosses or anything.
Oh, no. I don't even talk about that.
I follow. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, the Bravely Default thing is intriguing. Just anybody who I think mixes up my standard expectation for how an RPG plays, I think gets kudos for creativity, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. On some level, it feels like if you were to just have a turn-based battle system, like you would find in Dragon Quest or in one of the older Final Fantasy games, like that's fine and people are into that. But it also just feels kind of like stagnant. Like, oh, it's just this thing again. So I think the Brave and Default system is actually a really cool way to shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm glad it's back in this one.
Yeah, any game where you can heal and throw a punch in the same action, I love that idea, because I
that's really good. Yeah.
Hate having to waste my turn on eating a lettuce sandwich in Yakuza 7 to get my health up and not being able to fight anybody during that round.
Yeah. Probably my favorite thing to do with it is, somebody gets knocked out, you have to revive them, but then they're like, oh, they're really low on health. We need to wait for somebody else's turn to come around again so they can toss them a healing item. But no, you can just spend 2 points, revive them, and heal them immediately. So just like, oh my God, that solves a lot of ugly situations that I've been in.
Love it. That's great.
It's really good.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm having a really difficult time with the demo, that I've been finding kind of difficult to get through, is that the characters in this are so chatty. It really caught me off guard. Like Bravely Default 1 had some voiced cutscenes. And occasionally characters would say something in battle, like whenever they did a special move or something. But in this, there are little voice lines, I think, for pretty much everything you do in battle. So every time you attack, a character will toss out some one-liner. Or if they if they get hit, they'll be like, "Oh no," or not exactly that. There's something better written. But the end result is they're just talking constantly in battle, and it's making me kind of insane. Especially when you have a lot of situations where characters are acting in multiple times in quick succession because you spent a bunch of points one after another. You can also tweak the battle speed, so you can bump it up to 4 or 5 times just to get through the battles faster.
Oh, neat.
So it ends up these battles are just tons and tons of voice lines being mashed up together. Also, there are not a lot of voice lines that they recorded for this, so depending on how long, if the battles stretch on for any amount of time, you just end up hearing them say the same stuff over and over again.
Ooh.
And it's kind of grating. Am I crazy for having this reaction to this? I know people love voice acting, but I feel like it's kind of getting oppressive in this.
No, you're not alone in that. I encounter that quite a bit, particularly with just playing RPGs on the 3DS, where there were constraints, technological constraints, so not a lot of voice acting done. So you end up with, like you said, sort of the same one-liners kind of repeated over and over and over. And yeah, my sort of default play style for those kinds of games is either to go into the settings and just turn off or down the voice acting or voice volume completely, or just dump the entire volume for the game and put my headphones in and listen to music or something like that. So,
oh no.
Yeah,
I tried that at first. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to play this game if they're just talking this much. So I tried turning the volume down, and then it just sounded like everybody was just off in the distance somewhere doing these same lines. They're just like very quiet. They're in the back row. So I was like, this is not going to work. And then I tried turning it to Japanese because you have Japanese voices, which is cool that they're even in there. But then they're just it was actually kind of fun during the battles to hear that. But then they're speaking Japanese in all the cutscenes. I'm like, oh, this is weird. I mean, so it's okay for some games. I didn't feel like it fit for this one.
Yeah. But it has a setting to do Japanese voice with American or English subtitles, right?
Yeah. Well, there are a whole bunch of different subtitle languages, which is
nice. Cool. I mean, you want that.
Yeah. But no, I imagine if I end up playing this, I would just have to turn the voices off completely, which makes me very sad because, man, the voice acting and the writing and the delivery in Bravely Default 1 is so good. I'm a huge fan of it. And in this, it's just oh, that's too much. They overdid it. I don't know what's going on, really.
See, for me, sometimes it's a time spent kind of thing that I can read faster than I can listen to a character read the lines.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to sort of be efficient and consume a game quickly or just get to the next thing, I try to tune out the voices and just read the subtitles and move on quickly.
Yeah, I definitely do that, and I'll even do that with Bravely Default 1, is I'll just read it, and the character will still be talking, and you can just advance through each dialogue box.
Yes, yeah.
But, the battles, there's really no way around it. It was very interesting, actually, playing the Monster Hunter demo recently, because for whatever reason, your character in that game is just way more vocal than they have been in any previous Monster Hunter game. And again, they have different language options, including Monster Hunter language, which is just a bunch of nonsense syllables that they've been using in all the old games before they could, before they had the memory to have all these specific voice lines. But then they had a specific menu option for just how vocal that you want your character to be during fights. And I was just like, oh man, I thought they were maybe taking a huge misstep by having all these voices, but clearly somebody was paying attention and gave people the option to turn it down, which I thought was great. And I very fruitlessly searched through the menus in this to see, is there any way to just get them to talk less? And no, it's either all or nothing. So I don't know. I have not really run into this problem in another game, but in this one specifically, I'm just like, whoa. Gotta turn this down a little bit.
I was going to ask you if progress from the demo transfers over if you buy the full version, but I did a little Google, and it looks like no, because it is a little vertical slice.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you download the demo, the new demo, what did they call it? The final demo before February 26th, you get 100 My Nintendo Platinum points.
Oh, good. That's like, you get 100 M Bison dollars.
Excellent. Put that in your pocket.
Well, I guess I'll look forward to those 100 points or whatever.
Yeah. You get 10 cents off the next video game of your choice.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I did overall pretty good time with the demo, aside from just the weird voice issues.
Little nagging thing there.
Yeah, readjusting to the battle system. Like I said, I'm still playing through Bravely Default 1, so I don't know if I'm going to be raring to go at this new one as soon as it comes out. But it seems like there's stuff there if you're like a fan of the older ones, or just JRPGs in general.
Yeah, I mean, and probably interesting to play the two of them kind of concurrently and compare and contrast.
Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, excellent. That was a lot of video games. We should wrap this thing up.
All right, let's do it.
All right. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And don't forget, you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this very episode at VGHangover.com. You should join our Discord as well. You can get the link to that at VGHangover.com too.
Yeah.
We want to send you to our YouTube. Go to YouTube. Every Friday, new episode comes out. Plus, we have all of last year's episodes up there for your consumption. Please like, subscribe, and push the notification bell or something.
Yeah. No, you got it.
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah,
give
good.
Give a little thumbs up. That'd be great.
Excellent. I feel very proud of that.
Yeah. You're officially a YouTuber now.
We are. Awesome. Cool. The checks just roll in.
Yeah.
Yep. Subscribe, rate, review us on the iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you can get a podcast. And, do the big work. Tell your friends about our show.
Yeah. Tell them to take a listen to that show. I got to start writing stuff to put in there so I'm not just making stuff up.
I stole your line because it says DJ says that we're on YouTube, and I already said that.
Oh, hey, we're on YouTube now.
Excellent. I hadn't heard that.
Subscribe, and hit the bell.
Yay.
There. Okay, reinforcement is good.
Sure.
We want to give thanks again to Felly Kitty for this week's intro and outro music. Please head on over to fellykitty.bandcamp.com and check out some more of our stuff. It's good.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.